Hey class, my name is E.Rocha, and today we're going to be talking about Joseph Petrosino and his life in the NYPD in the 1800s. Who is Joseph Petrosino? This next video is going to show you a little bit, or tell you a little bit about who he was and his involvement in the NYPD.
His name was Joseph Giuseppe Petrosino. Born in the province of Salerno, Italy in 1860, he and his family migrated to the United States when Joseph was 13. As a teenager, shining shoes in front of the local police precinct, he grew to admire his neighborhood cops, and they grew fond of him. So in 1883, Joseph Petrosino became Officer Petrosino, a proud member of the New York City Police Department. The young officer quickly distinguished himself as a tough, hard-working, and very effective law enforcement professional. At the time, nearly 1/4 of New York City's population were Italian immigrants, shop owners, craftsmen, and artisans who served the residents of Little Italy in Manhattan's Lower East Side. But the community was also infested with a number of organized crime figures known as the Mano Nera, or Black Hand. They demanded protection money from the business owners of Little Italy and signed their letters with the print of a black hand to drive home their message of fear and intimidation. Early on, Joseph Petrosino decided to devote his law enforcement career to fighting these extortionists. By 1909, Joseph Petrosino had been promoted to lieutenant, and he decided to take his crusade against the Mano Nera to another level. Early that year, he set out on a secret mission to Sicily to collect evidence that would smash the Black Hand once and for all. Unfortunately, news of his mission leaked out before his ship even reached Italy. On March 12, 1909, Lieutenant Petrosino had planned to meet a man he thought was an informant. Instead, he was greeted by Mano Nera assassins who gunned him down. He is thought to be the first Italian-American police officer to die in the line of duty, and he is the only New York City police official ever to be killed on foreign soil.
Italians. As the Irish started to gain power and acceptance from the Americans, a new wave of European immigrants began to arrive. The Italians, being one of the largest groups of the newcomers to the city, the Italians faced the same discrimination from the Irish that the Irish had faced from the others on their arrival. The Irish resented the Italians for taking jobs at low wages and considered them to be violent and dirty. Children of Irish descent and Italian descent fought regularly after school and were considered to be a lot of tension between the two cultures. This graph here shows you the population in New York for the Irish and Italians from 1860 to 1910. Joseph Petrosino, after joining the NYPD in 1883, was disliked by the Irish officers and was treated as an outsider when he arrived because he was Italian. It took him 10 years to be promoted despite slowly gaining a reputation as being a very capable officer. However, after being promoted the first time, his hard work quickly paid off, and he was promoted to detective sergeant at the following year. The NYPD came to rely on Petrosino along with the Irish and the NYPD accepting him. Petrosino worked hard to protect Italians from the Black Hand and other organized crime. Eventually, the NYPD saw the necessity of working with Italians to combat Italian crime. In 1904, the police commissioner established the Italian squad and put Joseph Petrosino in charge of it, assigning him 5 Italian detectives. Even having that many Italian detectives was a sign of growth, as for years Petrosino was one of 2 Italians in the entire force. Petrosino had a strategy to deport all Italians who had criminal records back in Italy. Naturally, this would apply to most of the Italian immigrants who were involved in organized crime and activity in America. The only problem was how difficult it was to actually get the required proof from Italy. Petrosino was then selected to go undercover to retrieve these files in Italy. Already a dangerous mission, it only got worse when the press had released information about the mission, where Petrosino was and what he was doing. Not long after, Petrosino was gunned down in Italy while waiting for the information about the records. When Petrosino's body returned to New York City, over 200,000 people lined the streets for the funeral, Irish and Italians both. His pallbearers were 6 lieutenants, several of whom were Irish. Tensions and conflicts were put aside as both Italians and Irish lost a hero.